Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com, bringing you another Beat Matt Batrep.
We work so you can play. MiniWarGaming's Beat Matt Batrep.
This time, Ben has come all the way down from London.
Yep.
London, England. So he flew. Actually, no, it's London, Ontario. I apologize. There's Paris in Ontario. There's London in Ontario. There's a lot of cities that make you think that you're from another country. We're actually in California. There's an Ontario. And it gets really confusing because the short form for California is CA. So it's Ontario CA. I remember seeing once that I saw that there was some sort of conference in Ontario CA, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's nice and close. But no, it's in Ontario, California. So they really need to change that acronym. Anyways, this is a Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. It's going to be Ben's Skaven versus my Tomb Kings. And we haven't had a Skaven army in a little while, and I've decided to do something a little different with my Tomb Kings army while I'm waiting for my new models from Worthy Painting, which you'll see hopefully in the next 2 or 3 months or whatever happens to come in, because there's a lot to paint. So let's take a look at the armies as well as the scenario. Let's start by taking a look at Ben's 2,500 point Skaven army. So he's decided to go with something a little different than what he normally brings in his army, just to have some fun here. And leading the entire army, of course, is a Warlock Engineer. And we got a nice large group of clan rats here. Actually, this is not where the engineer is. This is just where there are assassins in here as well, and all sorts of other fun stuff that's hard to keep track of. And we got 2 groups of Skaven slaves just as fodder. This is a group of Poisoned Wind Globadiers with a Bombardier in there. And back here we have another large group of clan rats. The Warlock Engineer is in there, along with the White Warpfire Thrower weapon team. And there's the assassin dude right there. And then attaching to all of these are the various, what are they called? Whatever they are. Those are Warp Lightning Cannons. And that is a Doom Wheel, which is kind of fun. And at the very back there, we do have the Warplock Jezzails, or Jezzails, however you say that. And then these are Gutter Runners, which they can infiltrate onto any table edge that they want once they come on. So let's take a look at my 2,500 point Tomb King army. I decided to do something I've never done before, and that is take the Lore of Light. And I still have to have the Lore of Nekahera with my Hierophant, so I decided I'm going to go for 2 Lich High Priests. So the one on the right is a Lich High Priest, and the one on the very left is normally an Engineer with the Screaming Skull Catapult, but he's going to be proxying in as a High Priest. One of them is going to have the Lore of Nekahera, and the other one the Lore of Light. That's a big group of skeletons with a full standard, or full command, a group of archers, full command. Then we got a full group of chariots with full command, and there's a Tomb Prince back there as well, so no Tomb King. We got 3 Ushapti with their great weapons, and then we've got a group of light skeleton horsemen, so skeleton archers. Some of them are proxied in there. We got a Scorpion, and we've got a Screaming Skull Catapult, and of course to round it off we've got 2 monsters. We've got the Bone Giant, and we've got the Necro Sphinx, just to lend some heavy hitting, although usually they don't really have any usefulness whatsoever. So for deployment, we rolled off, and I get to go first. So we're just going to go back and forth. You can see the terrain is very minimal. We decided just to do that just because we're both trying out something new. So we wanted to really just be able to clash our armies and see how the magic turns out. Turns out we're both very magic heavy. I have 2 level 4 wizards in my army, but he does have his 3 wizards. I think one's level 4 and 2 are level 2, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, but the Lore of Light, this is something I was reading about, and when I was reading about the Lore of Light, I thought, why have I never used this in my Tomb King's army before? The Lore of Light is superbly useful for this, because they have spells that can increase the initiative and weapon skill of the Tomb Kings, and our initiative and weapon skill are probably our lowest traits, initiative especially. Weapon skill is okay when a Tomb King or Tomb Prince joins a group. But it also has some pretty awesome spells that just allow us to move faster, which for Tomb Kings is a big deal. If, for example, the spells that I rolled, the first one is Faw's Protection. It allows me to have one of my friendly units pretty much protected from any shooting attacks. They get they get -1 to hit with their shooting attacks, and anything that doesn't use a ballista skill, such as the artillery, misses on anything lower than a 4, so you have to roll 4+ to hit. The Speed of Light is another spell. It augments one of my units, or all friendly units within 12 inches, to weapon skill 10 and initiative 10, which is awesome. The other one that I rolled was a Net of Amientok, or something like that, however you're supposed to say it. And that is, you cast it on an enemy. It's a hex,
And every time they try to move, shoot, or cast a spell, they have to pass a strength test. And if they fail it, they take d6 strength 4 hits, but that's not the best part. If they fail it, the action is cancelled. And you're going to see that come into play. And lastly, I rolled number 6 by Rona's Time Warp, which basically I can target all friendly units within 12 inches and until my next magic phase. The movement is doubled, +1 attack, and I have always strikes first. Now, that's not quite as useful as it sounds because it's in my magic phase. So it's my next turn where my guys will have double movement. And I realized that I could also cast some movement spells from the lore of Nekahera, but I won't be able to charge really far. Well, for example, if the chariots, what they have there, I always give them the magic banner that gives them +1 movement, so they have a 9-inch movement. So if I were to cast that spell on them, then the next turn they would have an 18-inch movement. So if they wanted to charge, it'd be 18 inches plus 2d6. And so now he's going to be casting some magic. He's I don't remember all the spells that he's decided to cast here. We need a notation system so I can easily see. But whatever it was, it dealt 2 damage to my Bone Giant, and he's casting something else at the Bone Giant. And this is me trying to dispel it and failing. Or actually, I think I succeeded there because he rolled so low. Casting another spell, and this is me trying to dispel it and rolling really crappy. And so he gets to roll whatever damage he did, but it failed to do anything. And that was the range of the weapon, and it fell short. The Doom Wheel then fired its lightning and missed. And then he's firing the Warp Fire Cannon, which unfortunately misfires. Now this Warp Fire Cannon has to roll 2 of the artillery dice, and that's just because one of them is for strength. So he has 2 chances to misfire. And when you have a 1 out of 6 chance of misfiring, rolling that twice actually is going to have you misfire most of the time, which is just unfortunate. Fire another one of his weapons over here, and manages to graze one of the chariots, managing to take a wound off of him. The other Warp Fire is going to fire at my Necrosphinx, but unfortunately he misfires as well. He rolls a 10 for strength and then misfires, and this one actually gets removed from play. The other one just doesn't get to shoot that turn. So pretty frustrating for him at that point. Tomb King's turn 1. Necrosphinx decides he's going to charge into the Doom Wheel. I didn't realize just what a meaty target that was when I charged him, and I'm going to learn my lesson the hard way there. Moving up my archers, they were out of charge range, so I thought I'd just move them up and take some shots. Ushabti are moving up to get in a position. The skeleton warriors are moving in to get a position. That pyramid in the middle actually is blocking a lot of the access points. So I'm just trying to maneuver so I can do multiple charges. And then we have our magic phase rolling 9 power dice, which is really nice. Casting that 1 hex spell. Unfortunately, it's fortunate and unfortunate that I basically rolled a irresistible force, but it's also a misfire. Hurts my Hierophant for a damage and takes off a skeleton as well. But that was the spell that I was talking about that hexes them, that anytime they try to move, shoot, or do any magic, they have to roll a strength test, and their strength is only 3. So 50-50 chance they just negate anything they try to do, including movement. So that's a pretty big deal. And so firing some archers into the fodder units and don't do enough damage to really make a difference there. Firing the archers from the chariots, just trying to soften them up a little bit. But as I'm finding out, I need to expand my Tomb King's army, which is actually being done right now. Because if I want to bring archers, I need to bring a lot of archers, not just 16 and a few in the chariots. And then we've got the Screaming Skull, actually gets a direct hit, doesn't misfire, hits this many guys, and manages to actually kill a bunch of them, although he does roll a few of his saves as well. And so both squads do get hit, which means both of them are going to have to take a leadership test with a -1 modifier. So we got this one first. Now the Skavens get a really high leadership when they have lots of ranks. They get an extra leadership for every rank bonus that they have. So the Doom Wheel or Doom Scythe is attacking the Necrosphinx first and doesn't manage to damage it. Necrosphinx hits back, and the green one is his super awesome attack, of which of course I roll a 1 for, and we don't damage each other at all. So that's the end of round 1. Not much has happened. Minor casualties here or there. The Bone Giant's taken some damage, lost a couple horses, and he's lost a few rats here and there. He's lost his Warpfire, his 1 cannon, which is a big enough deal. And he's got that 1 hex on his main unit with the engineer in it, which is his main magic unit. So that's a pretty big deal. So we're going to head into round 2 now. Click on the annotation if you're in YouTube, or if you're in MiniWarGaming, just click